Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we've got a real heavyweight fight on our hands. The lightning-fast logic of AI versus the deep, intuitive wisdom of the human brain. Who actually makes the better call?
So let's make this real for a second. Imagine you're facing a huge decision. A life-changing one. A career move, a big investment. When it all comes down to it, who do you listen to? The machine that's crunched all the numbers, or that little voice in your head, your gut? That's the big question we're tackling.
All right, first up in the ring, let's talk about the original decision maker, us, the human mind.
The way we make choices, it's not some clean, neat formula. It's kind of messy, right? It's creative. We're constantly running these little simulations in our heads, playing out different futures and drawing on a whole lifetime of experiences. We don't just see data, we weave stories around it.
But of course, every superpower has its kryptonite. And for us, it's something called cognitive bias. Think of these as, well, they're like mental shortcuts that are hardwired into our brains. Super useful for our ancestors, maybe, but in today's world, they can really trip us up. They're basically the built-in bugs in our human software.
So this table really just breaks it down perfectly. Look at the strengths column. We're amazing at understanding context. We have empathy. We can imagine things that don't even exist yet. But then, you look at the other side, those strengths come with some serious weaknesses. We're prone to making emotional calls, we get tired, we get inconsistent, and let's be honest, when it comes to crunching huge amounts of raw data, we are just painfully slow.
Okay, so that's Team Human. Now let's bring in the challenger, artificial intelligence. This is a totally different kind of thinker.
Yeah, unlike our messy storytelling minds, AI is all about precision. It's like a hyper-fast calculator. You give it an input, it follows the rules, and it gives you an output. Bam! Same thing every single time. And it's true magic, spotting tiny little patterns in mountains of data that we would never, ever be able to see.
And just like us, AI has its own set of trade-offs. The pros are just mind-blowing. The speed, the scale, the fact that it never needs a coffee break. But the cons are just as big. AI has zero common sense. It doesn't have a gut feeling. It can't tell you if something is right or wrong from an ethical standpoint. And it can be what we call brittle. Throw something at it that it hasn't been trained on, and it can just break. Or give you a really, really weird answer. Okay, so we've met our two contenders. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses, but enough with the theory. How do they actually stack up in the real world when the pressure's on? Let's throw them into a few showdowns and see what happens.
First up, the job hunt. Meet Priya. She's applying for a job, but her first hurdle? Well, it isn't a person. It's an AI that's sifting through thousands and thousands of resumes.
So you can see how this works, right? The AI is the bouncer at the door. It does the heavy lifting, scanning all those CVs in seconds, something no human could do. But then, for the final decision, the human manager steps in. They're looking for things the AI just can't measure, like passion, or if someone's a good fit for the team. That human oversight at the end, it's absolutely crucial.
All right, next up, we're jumping into the crazy fast-paced world of the stock market. This is Arjun. He's using an AI advisor to help him navigate the chaos, because these machines can spot market trends way faster than any human possibly could. Now this is a fantastic example of one of AI's biggest blind spots. It's what people call a black swan event, something totally unexpected and massive that just breaks the system. The AI is a genius at looking at past data, but has no way to predict a once-in-a-lifetime crisis, and that's exactly when a human's gut feeling, their ability to read between the lines, becomes the most valuable thing in the room.
Okay, for our final showdown, we're on the digital front lines, cybersecurity. A hospital's network is getting hammered with thousands of potential attacks every single day. Sounds like a perfect job for a machine that never sleeps, right?
And the numbers here are just staggering. According to MIT, AI can spot these threats about 85% faster than the old-school tools. We're talking about the difference between catching a problem in milliseconds versus hours when it could be way, way too late.
So let's just step back for a second. Are you seeing the pattern here? In every single one of these showdowns, it's not about one winning over the other. The AI is like this incredible, super sensitive alarm system. It sees things we can't. But the human is the commander who gets the alert, uses their experience, and makes the final call on what to actually do. They're a team.
So, after all that, what's the verdict? Who's the winner? The brain or the bot?
Well, this is where the story gets really, really interesting, because it's not what you think.
Yeah,
We've set this whole thing up as a duel, right? A big fight. But it turns out asking who wins is totally the wrong question.
In this quote, this is from Garry Kasparov, the chess legend. This is the guy who famously lost to an AI back in the 90s. But instead of being bitter, he had this incredible insight. He realized the future wasn't humans against machines, it was humans with machines.
And that's where he came up with this idea of the centaur. You know, like the mythical half-human, half-horse creature? It's the perfect metaphor. You take the strategic, intuitive mind of a human, and you combine it with the raw speed and power of a machine. And this hybrid? It's not just a little bit better, it's a whole new level of decision-making.
Okay, so this centaur idea sounds amazing in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do we become one in our own lives? Well, it's a skill you can build, and here's a little playbook to help you get started.
It really comes down to being intentional about it. First, use the right tool for the job. Let the AI sift through the mountains of data, but let a human figure out the big picture strategy. Second, always keep a human in the loop. You need that final sanity check. Third, watch out for bias, both in the AI's data and in your own head. Fourth, it's all about combining strengths. Use AI's analysis to supercharge your own intuition. And finally, keep learning. Use AI to find new doors, and then use your human judgment to decide which ones to walk through.
All right, so let's do a quick recap. The human brain, brilliant, intuitive, but full of biases. AI, super fast and powerful, but no common sense. Our real-world showdowns showed that neither one is the clear winner on its own. The best strategy? It's the centaur model, human plus AI. And your job is to learn the playbook for making that team work. So in the end, this was never really about brains versus bytes. It's about building a better, smarter brain together. As AI becomes more and more like a co-pilot in our daily lives, the most important skill we can develop is judgment. So the real question isn't who wins, it's for you. How will you choose when to trust the machine and when to trust your gut?